How's it going, guys? Thank you to coming back to After the Catch presented by PGM. I'm your boy KB.
It's playoff.
All right, man. We coming back for our episode 4. So other than that, how's your weekend? How you doing, man? It looks like you're back off the mend.
Yeah, feeling a lot better. We had to take there's a little bit of delay in episodes because I was a little under the weather, but feeling a lot better now, and excited to be chopping up with you about week 3 of college football and week 2 of the NFL season. So let's jump right into it.
Let's get to it.
So as far as week 3 in college football, let's go over some of the notable scores.
All right.
So on Friday the 13th, we had. It seemed like on paper it was going to be a pretty good matchup, but it was number 20 Arizona at Kansas State, the number 14 team in the nation. Kansas State ended up just stomping them. It was the final score was 31-7. Did you get a chance to take a look at that game at all, or?
Didn't even get a chance to watch that game, to be honest. I was more focused on my own game with the team we had to play.
It wasn't worth watching. You didn't miss anything.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, Kansas State just did, whatever they wanted to do. It wasn't even a game at all. So that was actually pretty surprising. Okay. To get into some of the Saturday contests, we had some other matchups that were pretty lopsided. Texas was the number 2 team in the nation at the time. They ended up beating the University of Texas San Antonio 56-7. Wisconsin, the number 4 team in the nation, beat. Did I say Alabama or Wisconsin? Sorry.
I think you said Alabama and Wisconsin. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So Alabama, number 4 team in the nation, beat up on Wisconsin. The final score was 42-10. It was a bunch of lopsided games, man. Ole Miss, the number 5 team in the nation, beat up on Wake Forest. The final score was 40-6. Missouri and Boston College, Missouri being the number 6 team in the nation, Boston College being number 24. That was actually a close game. It went. The final score was 27-21. Man, I can't believe this score. Tennessee, the number 7 team in the nation, beat Kent State 71-0.
Who was that team again?
Tennessee.
No. Who did Tennessee beat?
Kent State.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
So I don't. Yeah. So you know how that goes.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So just a couple other ones. Oregon beat up on Oregon State. Oregon being the number 9 team in the nation. The final score was 49-14. Miami, the number 10 team in the nation, beat Ball State 62-0. Utah and Utah State played. Utah being the number 12 team in the nation. The final score was 38-21. Oklahoma State at number 13 beat Tulsa 45-10. Oklahoma, number 15 team in the nation, beat Tulane 34-19. Michigan, number 17, beat Arkansas State 28-18. Purdue and Notre Dame. Notre Dame being the number 18 team in the nation. Notre Dame won 66-7. Nebraska, number 23, the number 23 team in the nation, beat up on Northern Iowa 34-3. And then last but not least, as far as our teams go, South Carolina Gamecocks, unfortunately, lost to the number 16 team in the nation, LSU, 36-33. Definitely have some thoughts on that one. And then your Georgia Bulldogs beat Kentucky 13-12. Bit of a low scoring game there. So let's go ahead and get right into it. I'll give you the floor to talk about your Bulldogs first, because I got a little bit of a rant to go on. But
gotcha.
How are you feeling? How'd you feel about the Bulldogs' performance this weekend?
Well, the Georgia Bulldogs. Us doing our thing. They barely won, 13-12. That was probably the worst offensive game I've ever seen from Carson Beck. It literally kind of was triggering a little bit because it's like, y'all have the needs and all the talent to beat this team down, but you guys just keep letting it go, keep missing assignments, keep not communicating when it comes down to what you guys are going to do.
Yeah.
And Carson Beck, didn't let it fly. Didn't get, just kept on throwing sideline passes, kind of reminding me of Gardner Minshew at one point. Speaking about my Raiders, but Carson Beck looked like a pedestrian. He performed like a pedestrian. He didn't do what he was supposed to do, and we ended up winning by the hair are changing in gym, man. So I mean, what can we do? It was just disappointing. Kirby said we're a lot better offensive team than that. We got a lot to work on. I think if anything, like this bye week that we have coming up is a freaking godsend because we have a lot of injuries on our defensive line.
Yeah.
I think we just lost our lead guard, Tate Ratledge, to a severe ankle injury, and he had to get tightrope surgery, which means he'll be out for the next 4 weeks. So we have a hole in our offensive line, and then we're about to play Alabama come week 5. So, just a game that I did not expect to be as close. I think we kind of know what we need to correct, and I'm actually glad. We're not number 1 in the nation. We didn't play like we're number 1 in the nation. We got it taken away. Thankfully we're number 2 because we still won. We're undefeated. But I would have understood if we got knocked down all the way to number 4 or 5. Yeah. Playing like that, you don't deserve to be number 1. And I just think that puts more, just more fuel to the fire to that they need to be no individual's perfect, but a team can be perfect. You can stay undefeated. And that's one thing I learned from Rumor of the Titans, Denzel Washington. In that movie, your team can be perfect. You're not an individual, you're not perfect, but you can know your assignment, you can know what you're doing. And it falls on Carson Beck on the offensive side because he didn't do what they're supposed to do. The defense did what they're supposed to do because they only limited them to 12 points. Just a big disappointment. I know it's saying a lot because we're ranked top 3 in the nation, but there's a certain expectation you have, and if you don't meet it, then what are you doing? Because I mean, honestly, when it comes to college football, and playoff, when you don't perform how you're supposed to perform, you can lose 5 stars. You can lose 5-star recruiters, recruits that, not dominating, not showing what you're supposed to do. It's just not good, and it's just unacceptable. But ended up winning. But that is my rant for UGA. We won, but just definitely not pleased winning by 1 point. I never want to do that again.
So 2 questions for you. Did you see I kept seeing on the timeline the controversial play where the Georgia wide receiver makes the catch, going to the ground, and then the ball pops up in the air, and Kentucky catches the ball and runs it back. Apparently the Kentucky fans were thinking that was a legitimate interception, and I guess they feel like they would have won the game if the refs didn't get that call. Did you see that play?
I seen that play. I was on ESPN Plus, so they kept on showing it from 5 different angles. The ball ended up hitting the ground, so the dude didn't even have.
It wasn't a catch.
It wasn't a catch. It was an incomplete catch. They looked at the review. The fans, as always in Lexington, are just pissed off because they just are being loud with anything going on. They were loud half the time when they're getting penalties. So it was not a catch. Sorry, Kentucky folks, it was not a catch. And it was an incomplete pass. So they can be mad about it all they want, but I mean, facts is the facts. You know what I mean? So,
my second question: does this performance worry you at all as far as thinking about the season ahead?
Honestly, and I'll say this, and I'm not even trying to be cocky. Yeah, I'm worried about the teams we're going to be playing moving forward because now this is a perfect example to where Kirby, the players have to listen now. You have to listen to what Kirby's saying and be more crucial on everything you're doing because you guys thought we thought we were hot stuff, and we ended up getting a reality check. Any given Saturday, just like any given Sunday, you can lose a game. So you can't afford to play lazy. They played lazy, and it almost came back to bite them in the butt. There's our number 10 on Kentucky. Dude was half the size of our running backs, and he over here breaking 3 or 4 tackles because we're not wrapping up. We just literally shoulder checking people. So, I think people should be worried because we have more time to correct stuff, and we're resting when other teams need to play. So that's the only thing I'm actually really worried about. Am I concerned because of sometimes we were lazy? I was, but based on the press conference that Kirby said and had, he's pissed. So when he's pissed, all hell gonna break loose at practice, and all them players are gonna get right. But we got time to heal, so
Yeah, like you
I'm
said,
good.
having the week off and being able to get healthy. I know y'all have like some injuries y'all are dealing with. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's going to be huge for y'all. And then, obviously y'all got the big game, against Alabama coming up. So that'll be, the real test of what this team is made of.
Hopefully Monroe can actually pass the ball, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah. Well, to come over to my side, so it was a big weekend for South Carolina, the University of South Carolina, and College Game Day came to town. In Columbia, South Carolina. That's where the campus is, downtown Columbia. LSU, came to town, and we were. The thing about football, man, is like you won't necessarily, and I know it's different for you being a Georgia fan with all the success that you've had. South Carolina,
Yeah.
the football program hasn't really had a lot of success, and so
Mm-hmm.
going into it, I didn't really have high expectations. I think I said in the last episode that this was probably the happiest I've been with the South Carolina defense in a while, just
Mm-hmm.
because our front four and I'll say our front seven is they're ferocious on defense. They get after the quarterback, they make you work, they
They
hit
do.
people, and so when you can play defense, that gives you a shot, in any game, especially if you can
Right.
get after the quarterback, create pressure, get sacks, cause fumbles, cause turnovers, that just gives you an opportunity to win the game. And so um the boys came out, they played probably the hardest I've seen a South Carolina team play in
Mm-hmm.
years. They weren't scared of the moment. Lenore Sellers, just to kind of get into some stats really quickly. So he ended the day. He was nine for he threw as far as passing goes. He was 9 for 16. He threw for 113 yards. He did have one interception, um, which killed us because that took points off the board because we were in the territory to at least be able to kick a field goal.
Mm-hmm.
Rocket Sanders, he ran the ball really well, rushed 19 times for 143 yards, rushed for 2 touchdowns. His longest run on the day was 66 yards. Lenore Sellers had 10 carries for 88 yards. He rushed for 2 touchdowns as well, with his longest rush of the day being 75 yards. Um, as far as sacks, let me see how many sacks we had as a team. Had 2 sacks on the day. Um, 6 tackles for loss in total, and created one interception too. So defense came to play. They had the lead, I want to say, going into halftime. Um, and then Lenore Sellers, our starting quarterback, gets hurt on the last drive before halftime. And so at that point, it looked like he hurt his ankle or his foot, maybe his heel. And I'm thinking, like, he's a dual threat quarterback. So if he's not able to rush the ball effectively, then that takes away from his ability to really run the offense the way it's supposed to be run. So, excuse me. Um, he didn't end up playing in the second half, which was big, negative, had negative impact on the game. But then also too, the refs played a huge part in this game, huge role. Like, there was a pick six the Gamecocks had in the first half that was ran back for a touchdown. The interception ran back for a touchdown. They called
I
it back.
watched that.
They called it back
Yeah.
due to penalty, because they said that the defensive lineman did a horse collar tackle on the QB. Horse collar tackling QBs isn't a thing in the NFL unless they're the quarterback's out of the pocket. LSU's quarterback was in the pocket at the time, but apparently that's a rule in college football that horse collar tackle is a penalty. And he had like the back of his jersey. It wasn't so much that he was inside of his pads, but they called it
Mm-hmm.
regardless.
Mm-hmm.
Then we're fighting for our lives in the fourth quarter. The Gamecocks intercept LSU's quarterback one more time, running back for a touchdown. Would have sealed the game. It would have put us up by 11, I think. And they called a penalty for unnecessary roughness for one of the defensive linemen blocking LSU's quarterback. Now, the thing about it, the frustrating part is that LSU's quarterback um, was attempting to make a tackle on the defender who got the interception. So it's like, what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to just let him tackle him? You know? Long story short, Gamecocks lose by 3. I was it like I was engaged. Obviously, I think we were watching the game and playback, and like we ended up missing a field goal at the end to tie the game. And I was disappointed with the loss, but it was probably the happiest I've been as a South Carolina fan in a while. Just watching the team play, watching how hard they played. And you were talking about like recruiting and that sort of thing. I think that type of performance against LSU, because South Carolina and Clemson have a fierce rivalry. You had Clemson fans even on social media talking about how the refs screwed over South Carolina. So like when you have like your fans of your rival team even admitting like how you got screwed over by the refs, like all of that combined with how hard we played, I think it really goes a long way with recruiting, like people seeing the atmosphere of South Carolina and like what we have to offer as a football program. And I feel like it's putting even more eyes on the football program. So like I said, disappointed in the loss, but happy with the performance. As happy as like I said, I've been in a while. Next week we got a soft game. I want to say we got we're playing Akron actually. Yeah, we're playing Akron. So I imagine that we'll beat up on them. And then the week following that, we got another tough game. Um, we got Ole Miss. So
Jackson Dart, man.
yeah, if South Carolina, I didn't really have any expectations. At one point, and I've kind of gone back and forth about how happy I am with the coach Shane Beamer, but he's really showing me something this year as far as just how hard he's getting the players to play and how like they believe in what he's saying. You know what I mean? And so it looks like he is the right man for the job. And I think as long as has the time to recruit, get some additional players in there, as long as he continues to be able to have the players like buy-in, like I think they'll go out there and they'll play hard every game, and that's all you can really ask for ultimately. And the wins will come. I feel. I mean, if we can steal one of these big games, one or two of these big games that are left the rest of the season, I'm hopeful we can get in the top 25. Which if South Carolina can get in the top 25 to end the season, I'll take that. Be not playoff eligible, be bowl eligible, and be a top 25 team in the nation. You'll never hear a complaint out of me.
Always the goal.
Yeah, I just want the football team to be relevant because I mean South Carolina at this point, the thing they're really known for right now is women's college basketball in Dawn Staley, which I mean she's built
dominate.
Like she's built a hell of a program, but at the same time, I want the football team to prosper as well. So, yeah, one other thing I wanted to get into before we go over to NFL, Colorado, they have a lot of eyes on their program,
of course.
And so I didn't really catch this game, but I did see on social media, and I just want to pull it up really quickly. They played Colorado State.
Sure did.
Let me see if I can find the score for that game.
I have it right here, 28-9.
Okay, so they pretty much dominated that game. Did you see the thing that really intrigued me that I wanted to discuss really quickly was Shador at the end of the game having the interaction with the Colorado State quarterback, and I'm not really sure. Huh?
Oh no, I was going to ask. So you're about to explain this, huh?
No, I was saying I don't know what he said, but apparently I don't know if he was talking about Colorado or Shador in particular, but he was just kind of talking trash, and so Shador he went over to Shador at the end of the game to like shake his hand, and tell him good game. And Shador, like you could see his mouth, and he basically told the other QBs like you can't F with me, like, and so yeah, and so I thought that was interesting, and I just wanted to again. He said something. Let me see if I can find exactly what he said, just so we have some additional context. Okay, so this is what happened. I'm pulling this from Fox Sports website. So, starting quarterback Braden Fowler, Nicolosi, and wide receiver Torrey Horton called out Sanders, Coach Prime Sanders in Colorado ahead of the Saturday game. Apparently, said they came out with the quarterback said they came out with this attitude and thought it was going to be a cakewalk of the game last year. They got a rude awakening real quick. I think it goes to show the hype, the media train, all that only gets you so far. At the end of the day, you have to line up 11 guys against our 11 guys, and we'll find out who wants it more. We'll see how far Instagram followers gets them.
Oh, yeah.
And so, so do you feel like Shador's reaction is justified, or how do you feel about him telling that player you can't F with me at the end of the game?
I mean, Shador is up there with like the top college quarterbacks, but I don't think he understands what humble is.
Yeah, not at all.
You know what I mean? So when it comes down to what Colorado's doing and the hype that they're getting, they're not living up to the hype. The hype is up there to where it's like they should be top ranked, top 10 in the nation. Shador should be one of the best QBs in the country. And to me, he's not.
Yeah.
Up there when it comes to getting his stats and stat padding, because what was his stats? He converted 36 passes of the 49 he attempted. He had over 300 passing yards and 4 TDs and was sacked once. People were saying that's a very good game, but me, I'm like, that's against Colorado State. So it's like with what they're doing, I see why he's so arrogant and why he's so, cocky. He's his father's son. I mean, Prime actually showed and played for one of the best teams to ever play for, be assembled for Florida State. And he was but one of the best return men and DBs ever to go to Florida State. So when it comes down to that, like he's been there, done it. Shador has not. So it's like it's kind of hard to be really like. Do I like the way he's being like that? No, I don't. But there's a reason why he does it. The person that I think that can talk the talk and walk the walk is Travis Hunter. He's the only person on that team plays both ways. Really good wide receiver with routes and can shut him down in the corner. I'm kind of leaning more he'll be a wide receiver than a corner, but if he
wants to get paid, I mean, and don't get me wrong, cornerbacks get paid too, but wide receivers get paid considerably more than defensive backs do. So
right. So the thing it's I don't know. It's just the thing with when it comes down to the video that we've all seen when he said, "I don't care, catch the ball."
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Like that ball was horribly thrown. So I just try to understand when it comes down to all the stuff, all the controversy. But all in all, like your question, sorry, because I'm going on a rant. I believe that Colorado is hyped they're hyped to be a team that they're really not. They're not up there. They're not elite. I think if they play against another league team, they're going to get blown out, and it's embarrassing. Yeah. So, and Shador likes to take a lot of sacks. I don't think a lot of people like to say that either. So, and that ain't going to fly in the NFL. One hit, you might be out for weeks.
Absolutely. So. I mean, and I know who his dad is, and I'm sure his dad has instilled a bunch of confidence in him. But at the same time, I can't help but thinking he's going to get a rude awakening when he gets to the NFL. Like somebody, like you can't talk to people that way. You can't talk crazy to people that way. And at the same time, it's like the level of intensity is so much higher than college football. And I think Deion is kind of trying to position that he's going to go in the first round, and maybe he will go in the first round. But I could see some organizations being turned off by his attitude a little bit, because quarterback, you're the leader of the team. And so if
Mm-hmm.
your teammates don't have that respect for you,
Mm-hmm.
then it's you're gonna have a tough time. You know what I mean? So
Yep.
I mean, obviously it's a long way to go before he gets drafted and all that stuff. But I saw that clip and I thought that was interesting, so I just wanted to talk about that really quickly.
Well, I mean, you can actually go down the line to see exactly who they play and who's actually going to be a tough feat. But I mean, I think because I'm looking down their schedule and they
Mhm.
have what next? They have Baylor, UCF, Kansas State, um, Arizona, Cincinnati, I think Texas Tech University, and then Utah to end it off. So, I mean, if they end up winning, can they still go to the Big Ten, or they can't win the Big Ten? Because I don't even know who's in their conference. The championship
uh,
for Big Ten.
I'm not really sure, to be honest with you.
Gotcha. Because I'm looking at everything that they have in here, and their best team in that it's Oklahoma State and Utah are the best two teams in in that conference.
Let me see if I can
And
find the. Maybe I can find the standings really quickly. Sorry, I'm trying to find on ESPN real
all
quick.
good. I'm looking at seeing most of the games, and a lot of the games are kind of subpar because they weren't playing against really good competition. Texas is getting some good. They're getting some good stuff going, but
Oh, let's see. Wait, are they Big Ten? No, they're Big 12, aren't they?
Big 12, Big 12. Just
Um,
trying to see.
so right now, let's see. Colorado is 2-1. I mean, they got a shot. I mean, the teams on the higher end. Well, they have one, two, three, four, five, six teams that are 3-0 right now. The UCF Knights, the Kent State Wildcats, the Utah Utes, Arizona State,
Mm-hmm.
BYU, and Oklahoma State, and then Iowa State is actually 2-0 as well. So I mean, they definitely got a shot for sure. And also too, I don't think they haven't played any of their conference games yet either. So they definitely
Nope.
still got a shot. But
Okay.
we just have to, we'll have to see how the season unfolds for them. Um, let's switch over to the NFL. It's week 2 of the NFL season. Let's
Good.
run through these scores really quickly.
I got them
Uh,
up right now if you're ready.
yeah, go ahead.
So we got my Raiders. They beat the Ravens 26-23. 49ers lost, yes. To the Vikings 23-17. Falcons and Eagles. Falcons won by one with that, when they Saquon ended up dropping the ball. Kind of sucks.
Yeah, that was crazy.
22-21. The Texans and the Bears. Texans won by 6, 19-13.
Yep.
Bengals, Chiefs. Bengals lost by one. Sorry. When it comes down to that, 26-25. Steelers beat the Broncos by a very low score, 13-6. I got questions on that. Rams lose to the Cardinals. Jesus, 41-10. That is
Mm-hmm.
nasty. Seahawks beat the Patriots 23-20. Browns beat the Jaguars 18-13. Giants beat the Commanders. Nope. Giants lose to the Commanders. I got to stop giving Giants fans hope. 21-18. And then we have the Jets beating the Titans 24-17. The Buccaneers beating the Lions 20-16. Saints dog walking the Cowboys 44-19.
That's crazy.
Packers, exactly. Packers end up beating the Colts 16-10. We have the Chargers beating the Panthers 26-3, and Bills embarrassing the Dolphins, as we all seen that game. Very sad.
Yeah, they have the Dolphins number for sure, and then Tua getting another concussion.
Man.
Let's see. Other than uh, our games, I'm trying to see if there are any games that we wanted to talk through really quickly. Um, One thing that did surprise me, um, and we'll get into that in just a moment. I was trying to see if anything jumped out. Let's do this first. Let's get into the injuries really quickly, and then we'll get
I
into
got you.
We'll get into
All
who
right.
surprised us. Let's see. I got some here. Notable
Same.
offensive injuries.
Mm.
Tank Bixby for the Jaguars.
Mm.
He hurt his groin during the game. I haven't really heard anything as far as if that's a long-term injury or not. The Chiefs. Isaiah Pacheco playing against the Bengals, of course, suffered an ankle injury. He broke his fibula, I believe, or fractured it, and then he got put on injured reserve, I believe.
Just had surgery today.
Yeah. Um, Los Angeles Rams wide receiver Cooper Kupp, he had an ankle injury, did not return to the game. They said that the injury it's not serious enough for him to be on injured reserve, but he's going to be out for a little while.
For
Um,
4 weeks, which is IR. So I don't understand that at all. So
yeah, I don't know what if he's going to be out for the 4 weeks. You might as well put him on IR. So I'm interested to see
exactly.
if he ends up coming back sooner than that. But
He'll be
I
back
guess
by
we'll
the
just have
Raiders
to wait
game.
and
He'll be back when they play the
see.
Raiders. They always heal up by that time, so I'm prepared.
Let's see. Justin Jefferson, he had a quad contusion playing the 49ers. He did not return to the game. I want to say the injury happened. It was in the second half. Might have been in the fourth quarter.
I think it was
Um,
the fourth. A lot of people, a lot of like social media was going off and
yeah.
all that stuff, panicking. So
Tajay Sharp for the Tennessee Titans. He hurt his ankle, did not return in the Jets game. Deebo Samuel got a calf strain in the game against the Vikings, and he left the game in the fourth quarter and did not return either. And I think so far they're saying he's going to be out for 4 weeks. Were there any other notable injuries that you saw that you wanted to talk through?
Joe Mixon with the nasty roll on his ankle.
Yeah, I did
I
see
thought
that.
that was I thought
Yeah,
that was broken. You just talked about Cooper Cup. Jordan Love, he did sprain his MCL, but he did practice this week, so
yeah.
he was limited. We have here says Pacheco, Herb, what's his name? Herbert.
Oh, Justin Herbert.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah, Justin Herbert had an ankle injury. He said he's feeling much better, so he should be good to play. Tua with that nasty concussion, like we just said.
he went
He
on injured reserve.
is exactly, and but they said there's actually some positive news to that. Not trying to make it positive about him being injured, but the Dolphins do have a injury policy for $49.3 million.
Okay.
So with him being hurt and him probably not being cleared to play, they're gonna have money where they can spend to get someone else.
Yeah,
The
so
four,
they just gave him that big contract, and so they'll get some of that money back
yep.
if he's not able to come back and play.
Exactly, with the 49, which hence is the policy.
Yep.
DeForest Buckner got placed on IR, so he is out at least for 4 games with an ankle injury. He's the Colts DT.
Yeah.
And then we have who else? AJ Brown, hamstring, said he'll be out a couple weeks. So
Oh yeah,
good
AJ
luck.
Brown hamstring.
Mhm.
Did we mention?
Hamstring.
We didn't mention Christian McCaffrey getting placed on injury reserve too.
He did get placed on IR. Him and Deebo Samuel's being out, that's a big problem. I don't
Oh
care
yeah.
how people are saying Mason looks good as the back, as the starting running back. Doesn't really matter if you're losing a lot of your weapons for the offensive end. But yeah, they're both out. Jawan Bentley is out for the year with I want to say a torn pec. Torn
Mm.
pec. He's out for the year. They just announced that. Who else do we have? Puka's out. Puka's out. He's going to be out. He's on the IR, so he's going to be out a couple
So they're missing
weeks.
Puka. Rams are missing Puka, and now they're missing Cup also.
And now Rams are also missing John Johnson. You can know that
Safety.
safety.
Yeah, safety.
Yep, he just suffered a hairline fracture, so he'll be out 4 to 6 weeks.
Man.
Dude, it just keeps getting worse. The Broncos offensive tackle Mike McGlinchey suffered an MCL sprain, so he'll be out for about a month. They said so. That's up to 4 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks maybe.
I feel like the injuries have just been brutal so far this year. We're only in week 2, and it's like
Dude,
you got so many notable players that are hurt, man.
my fellow Bulldog Jermaine Johnson tore his Achilles.
Towards
He
Achilles.
is done for the season. Amon Ra got it. avoids major injury with an ankle or a contusion. He had contusion and cramping. So he'll be. They said he should be good to go. Who else do we have? You already said Justin Jefferson. Vita Vea sprained his MCL. He's one of the big old nose tackles for
Yeah.
the Bucks. He's getting up there in age, so I don't really know how smart it is to rush him. He probably should definitely rest. They said he'll be. He's getting MRI. He got an MRI this week already, but pretty sure he's going to IR. So, other than that, that's pretty much everything. I don't think there's anything else. They said that CJ Mosley, he was carted off during a game. So I don't
Okay.
know what's his update with that one. And Evan Ingram ended up messing up his hamstring during warmups this past Sunday, which is also sad because that's a tight end for the Jaguars. But other than that, I don't see any other injuries that we have to worry about. Yeah.
Okay.
Other than that, and then Marquise Brown, my bad, wide receiver for the Chiefs.
Oh
He's going
yeah,
to be out for the
he's gonna be out a considerable amount of time.
regular season. Done. Yep, he's done for the season.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah, it
Injuries
says
popping up
it
left
says
and
how regular season. Yeah. That's pretty much it. You called it, man. These injuries is definitely weird. I'm just like I said. I'm happy with what we have. My team has injuries. We lost our defensive end for my team, so for I think he'd be gone for about 5 to 6 weeks.
Who is that?
Malcolm Kuntz. He's a
Oh, okay.
defensive end on our defensive line, and then also we just found out that Max Christie. Oh God. Don't worry about the Lakers, folks. Max Crosby. Max Crosby has an ankle injury. He was limited today, so he might be. He might not play, but I think he will play.
Gotcha.
Crazy.
All right, so let's moving on from the injuries. Let's get into who surprised you in week 2, based on just good performances or things that caught your eye that were positives.
3 teams that surprised me. So my team, of course, I did not like I said, I thought that was going to be a loss. I'm not gonna lie.
Mhm.
I always pray that we win, but I do, I'm being real. Expected us to lose, especially how we lost the last Sunday. That was one game. The other game that I was surprised about was the Commanders. I honestly thought they were going to lose to the Giants. Did not think they were going to win. I think Jay McDaniels, for another injury, ended up getting like smacked in like the ribs or something like that. So
Oh
he was
yeah,
like,
I thought he was gonna be out for the game, but he came back in the second half.
exactly. Like the GM was talking to his mom on the sideline and all that stuff. So I don't know what was going on with that. That the Commanders game, that was a surprise. Then the other game that was probably a little bit more surprising was I just had it. The Packers. I didn't think Willis was going to win that game. I didn't think that backup QB was going to win.
Think so either.
So
yeah, I had a couple. I was definitely surprised by their ability to pull that out because Malik Willis, he struggled in Tennessee, so I was kind of shocked when Green Bay made that trade for Malik Willis, just because he's not the same quarterback type that Jordan Love is, and so Malik Willis, like, he's kind of struggled with getting the ball down the field from as far as throwing it, but he is super mobile.
So he's also the first quarterback that I ever seen that had to deal with his own center puking on the football.
I saw that quote. That's disgusting. But some other teams that caught my eye, the Chargers going 2-0. That's kind of surprised me. I mean, Justin Herbert's a great quarterback, but I don't know. I wasn't really sure how well Harbaugh and Herbert were going to gel. One thing I do want to say, super excited for J.K. Dobbins. He had the ACL injury, and then he had the Achilles injury last year. And he's coming. He so far, and I know it's only week 2 in the NFL, but he's my comeback player of the year so far. He had another great rushing performance. Let me get his stats real quick. 17 carries, 131 yards, 1 touchdown. Herbert didn't really have that great of a game, but they're really running the ball well, and that's one of the staples of Jim Harbaugh is he wants to be able to run the ball. Herbert only had 130 yards passing, but he had 2 touchdowns. Quentin Johnston, which a lot of people were giving a lot of flack, he had 5 catches for 51 yards and 2 touchdowns. They did beat the Panthers, but still, I mean, you can only beat who's out there in front of you. So
any given Sunday, win the games, win your games. That's
exactly. Who else surprised me? Vikings. Going 2-0. Their first win I thought was a bit fluky playing the Giants, who I think I think the Panthers by far the worst franchise in the NFL, but the Giants are close, and that's kind of because of Daniel Jones and him just not being able to play competent football. But the Vikings had a quality win against the 49ers. 49ers represented the NFC in the Super Bowl last year and lost. But I mean, the Vikings they're playing good defense. Sam Darnold is playing. He's basically managing the game really well. There was a highlight where he threw the long touchdown pass to Justin Jefferson, and Justin Jefferson took it to the house. But Darnold, his stats from Sunday, he was 17-26 for 268 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Again, they're running the ball effectively. They had 24 rushes for 146 yards. Justin Jefferson, speaking of him, he had 4 catches for 133 yards with 1 touchdown. So yeah, man, just playing playing clean football. Not really turning the ball. They had some turnovers, but I mean, their defense was phenomenal. Let me see how many sacks they had. They had 6 sacks as a team with 8 tackles.
I didn't even know they had.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they were getting after the quarterback. They were making Brock Purdy work, and he was back there fighting for his life. So, yeah, man, they've been a surprise, man. I thought the first one, like I said, was fluky, but this is a quality win. So they actually play the Chargers this week. So both teams are undefeated. So only one will come out with the win unless they tie the game, of course. But I'm interested to see how that game goes between the two of those teams.
Who's home?
Let me see. Hold on. Let me see if I can find that.
I'm wondering.
Sorry, waiting for my computer to load.
They play the Steelers.
I thought the Vikings played the Chargers this week.
So the Vikings are playing.
No, I'm sorry. They play the Texans.
Yeah, the Vikings play the Texans, which are both undefeated.
Okay.
Same thing with the Steelers against the Chargers.
That's my bad. Yeah, Vikings play the Texans. The game is it is a home game for the Vikings.
Okay.
So, Stephon Diggs, he played for the Vikings. Maybe he gets just a little revenge game, possibly.
Let's see.
So yeah, so both undefeated teams. Only one can come away with the win. Excuse me for saying it was the Chargers. That's my mistake. The last team I want to highlight as far as a surprise is the New Orleans Saints, man. They smacked the Cowboys. The Cowboys they came out and punched the Cowboys in the mouth, and the Cowboys never responded. Dak Prescott struggled. He threw for 293 yards with 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. I want to say prayers up to anybody who was going against Alvin Kamara in fantasy because Alvin Kamara had an amazing game. He had 20 rushes for 115 yards and 3 touchdowns, and he had 2 catches for 65 yards with another touchdown.
So mad numbers.
Yeah, insane. Yeah, just absolutely insane. Derek Carr had a good game. He didn't really throw the ball a whole lot because they were up by so much, so it wasn't really a need to. He had He was 11 for 16. He threw for 243 yards with 2 touchdowns and 1 interception. So yeah, man, Saints. And let me see who they play this week. But I mean, they look really strong, especially on the offensive side of the ball.
Oh, they got Philly.
Oh, that's gonna be a good game.
I think it's in New Orleans though.
That's gonna be a good game, man.
It's in New Orleans Superdome. Yep.
Yeah, that's gonna be a good game.
No AJ.
Philly coming off of that loss, and I'm sure they're upset about the way they lost to Atlanta. And the Saints coming in and riding a 2-game win streak. That's gonna be a good game to watch.
They're missing AJ Brown though. That's the thing.
And they're missing AJ Brown, yeah. So it might get tough for Jalen. So yeah, so let's get into who disappointed you in week 2. You want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
Sure. Who disappointed me? Niners disappointed me. Eagles disappointed me. Let's keep going down. I can read. Let's go down the list. Cowboys disappointed me. The Colts disappointed me. The Dolphins disappointed me. But I did lose 2. I understand that. But I mean, even the beginning of the game, Tua was not seeing Tyreek Hill that was had 20 yards or 10 yards of separation from his own defender. So it's those are disappointment of games. For some of them, does, like I said, Tua, it sucks to lose them. Those are my disappointments. I didn't know the Cowboys are going to come out that flat.
Yeah.
Thank you, CeeDee Lamb, for helping me win my fantasy football league game. You got me my stats. I don't really care, just as long as he gets over 100 yards and a TD, he gets me what I need. But no, Derek Carr stepped up. He did what he's supposed to do. He is an ex-Raider. I'm not gonna say once Raider, always Raider, but he's gone. But he's having a good time in New Orleans, doing his thing. Proud of him. But yeah, that was probably the biggest disappointing loss I've ever seen. I think on week 2 of all days, 44-19, 40. I don't know.
Yeah. On my side, and I'm gonna repeat some of and it's more like specific individuals, like the Colts. They're 0-2. I know a lot of people had high expectations for Anthony Richardson coming off of that injury that he had last year. He played a terrible game. He had 204 yards with 1 touchdown and 3 interceptions. And that's just not going to get it done, man. And I know the Colts are thinking he's their franchise quarterback, and he's going to have to start showing us something, or the Colts might be drafting another quarterback here soon.
He's not accurate, man. He can't throw an accurate pass. I don't know what it is with these NFL scouts. Just being like, he's so athletic. Oh my God, he can do a backflip in his equipment. Because that's what put him on the hype, and he can throw a 70-yarder on one knee. Doesn't matter how far you can throw the ball. If I'm right here in front of you, the ball shouldn't be going over here. It should be coming right to me. So I don't know what's up, but he's not an accurate thrower. So he's like the younger version or stronger version of Lamar Jackson, maybe? I don't know.
I mean, man, and I knew he was a project coming out of college, and he had some flashes when he was at Florida, and I guess that's what people fell in love with. But I don't know, man. If you're gonna be a starting quarterback in the NFL and lead a franchise, you just gotta play a lot better than he's playing right now. Will Levis was another one who disappointed. I don't know if you saw, he had a really bad turnover in week 1. It was an interception he threw, and he dropped to his knees with his hands on his helmet. And then he had another just really dumb decision where he threw the ball. He was being pressured. He was about to get sacked, and he saw a receiver, but it was behind the line of scrimmage. So he threw the ball. It wasn't a good pass. The ball ended up basically hitting the ground. It was a fumble, basically, and the other team got the ball.
Okay.
And you could see his coach on the sideline. They're playing the Jets. The coach is like, what the F are you doing? What are you doing? Yeah. Just got to be way smarter. And his time is running up too, man. He's this is second year. And he's got to start showing some stuff too. Or they got a new coach in Tennessee. He was actually the former offensive coordinator of the Bengals. So let me get his full name. I know his last name is Callahan.
I just would like to repeat playoff. The starting quarterback for Titans puts mayonnaise in his coffee.
That is true. Will Levis does that.
Disgusting.
Coach's name is Brian Callahan. And he's got, he's a this is his first stint as a head coach, his first job as a head coach. So when they figure out that you're not the quarterback that's going to be able to execute, their scheme, they're going to get you up out of there quick. So Will Levis better get it together. Who else? The Panthers continue to be a dumpster fire. The whole team is bad. They're bad from the top down. Like the owner, front office, they just have no clue what they're doing. They benched. They're struggling, obviously, and I understand that. But to bench the quarterback that you took in the first round last year, 2 weeks into the season, is just crazy.
Nix?
Bo Nix is also, he's on my list as well. Bo Nix, well, let me get to Trevor Lawrence first. He's Jaguars are 0-2.
Oh, I didn't know that. They're 0-2?
Yeah, they're 0-2. He just got paid a buttload of money. Threw for 220 yards against the Browns, no touchdowns, no interceptions. But that's just he's not doing enough to get it done right now. I'm glad you brought up Bo Nix. Everybody thought Russell Wilson was the issue for the Broncos. And everybody's like, oh, Bo Nix is the guy. He's the quarterback of our future. He's going to be able to execute Sean Payton's scheme.
What did I tell you? What did I tell you when my team exposed his butt? What did I tell you? Why do you think he ran from Auburn to Oregon? I'm just saying. I'm just trying to tell people, man.
Yeah, man. So Bo Nix, I'm seeing some fans are already turning on him. Some Broncos fans are already turning on him, man. So
they have a right to, because there's a video of Bo Nix having 19 seconds on the play clock. Can't even get the play.
Can't get the play out. I saw that.
Can't get the play. He's over here. And they're all looking at him, waiting for him to get the play out. I was like, what is this, a John Gruden play?
Didn't a penalty get called on that too?
It was delayed game. It was delayed game. And it's like you see like the players, like they're looking at him waiting to have a play called. And then you just see like the players like, come on.
Yeah.
Because I'm over here looking at him like, dude, is this like a Gruden play? Like Whiskey Tango Banana Monkey or whatever? Like, bro, like you have to make sure you know the play going in. And he just looked shocked. He looked shocked.
So it's the Bo Nix experiment isn't going as well as the Broncos fans thought it would. And I already, in addition to seeing fans turn on Bo Nix, I'm seeing them.
Oh, Lars.
Yeah, I'm seeing them give Sean Payton some flack as well. So
yeah,
man. And then last but not least, the golden boy Caleb Williams, who was drafted first overall. He is having some struggles, man. Let's see. Let's look at his stats really quickly. Hold on. Let me get to that box score real quick.
Because they were Sunday Night Football, weren't they?
Yeah, they were Sunday night against the Texans.
Yes, I got his stats right here.
Caleb was 23 of 37 for 174 yards, threw 2 interceptions. He's just back there running for his life, basically.
Sacked 7 times. 7.
That offensive line in Chicago is bad.
Very.
And it's going to be tough for any quarterback to be back there. And I think that Caleb thought, I can just run around like I did at Southern Cal and, throw the ball, flip the ball down the field and all that.
Dude, he thought it was Madden.
No, it's not like that.
Hey, he thought the defensive lineman can't run a 4-5 flat.
They can run as fast as you. They can run as fast as you, if not faster. So you can just see there's a huge learning curve from college football to the NFL, and I think he's struggling with adjusting to that speed. So I think he's in for a long season, man. I think it almost would have been better, and it's still early, but I think it almost would have been better for him to just sit on the bench and learn and just kind of watch
Learn.
and get used to the speed instead of just, being pushed out there. But time will tell. Obviously, it's a lot of time. For him, it's just his first year, but it's looking a little rough for him so far. And then the last team I will mention, man, we watched this game in playback together on Monday night. Watching the Eagles lose that game to the Falcons, man, like Saquon, and there's so many things that went wrong.
Yep.
The Eagles, instead of running the ball, they chose to throw the ball to Saquon. Saquon was wide open, should make the catch. He dropped the ball, didn't make the catch.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, Saquon has the most drop passes for a running back since like 2021.
Mm-hmm.
Got to make that catch. Even if you don't get the first down, you got to make the catch. And he didn't.
You go down and you can run the clock out.
Exactly. So the clock stopped. Atlanta gets the ball. Eagles basically forget how to play defense, and the Falcons get into like field goal range in like 3 or 4 plays. And then
Well, you
eventually,
remember though, while we were watching it, people were saying, Eagles got it in the bag. They don't got to worry about,
no.
Cousins.
There's like a minute 50 seconds left. The Falcons had with no timeouts. That's a lot of time. That's too much time.
A minute and what? It was like a minute and some change, right?
Yeah, it's like a minute and 50 seconds, somewhere around there. And so
2-minute warning, basically.
Yeah. Like eventually Kirk Cousins threw the touchdown pass to Drake London. Drake London ran a hell of a route and got open on big play Slay. And the rest is history, man. And I feel bad for Eagles fans, but I think this game kind of shows that if the Eagles are going to win games, I think it's going to be because of their offense. It's not going to be because of their defense. Their defense isn't on all 3 levels. The defensive line, linebackers, and the defensive backs. They're not as good as they were last year. They got a bunch of young kids, a bunch of Georgia players actually that they drafted and who are getting adjusted, and it's just going to take time, So you mentioned AJ Brown being hurt. That's going to hurt them. That's one less weapon that Jalen Hurts has to throw the ball to. So I think you said they played the Saints, right? You said they played the Saints week 3.
They play the Saints.
So we about to. It might get dicey real quick for the Eagles, but I guess we'll have to see what happens this week.
They better tush push to save their lives, man. Just saying, push every chance you get. Nobody's stopping it.
Yeah, 100%. All right, man. Well, I guess last but not least, let's get into both of our teams. We kind of already touched on it a little bit, but Raiders, your Raiders surprised the Ravens. Now y'all are sitting at 1-1 on the season. How are you feeling during that game, and what were your thoughts on it?
We beat the Ravens. Raider Nation. There's only one nation in this world, and this Raider Nation. So when it comes down to us winning, we ended up getting it. Like I said, I did not know if we were gonna. I didn't think we were gonna win. I thought based on how we lost against the Chargers last week, we weren't play so good. We ended up pulling up the upset. Hell of a second half. Can't even be mad about that. I'm just mad more so because of our run game, but with the Ravens being the defense like they are, they were just killing it. Minshew was sacked 5 times. We could not run the ball at all. Devontae Adams ended up just becoming superhuman and doing the smooth criminal move like Michael Jackson, RIP. To with that catch, then getting the touchdown. Brock Bowers, a boy amongst a men amongst boys out there, just killing folks, killing linebackers. We're lining them up all over the place, 12 personnel as we normally do. Good win. I'm definitely proud of him. I believe it's like something to build off of, because I am truly rooting for AP, because if people who don't know, he only got offered a 2-year deal. So mostly a lot of coaches get 3 years. So it's basically, I think Mark Davis was like, make the playoffs or you're gone, basically. So he has to do that with a lot of, we have a lot of injuries to our defense, who is also Max Crosby out there playing a man possessed, end up sealing the game with a clutch sack that ended us giving us the ball back, and we ended up kicking the field goal. So with that, it's just yeah, I'm proud of my team. I just did not know we were going to pull this off. They have every reason to talk their stuff, but I really can't be too hopeful about this next week. But we'll talk about that a little later.
Who do y'all play this week?
We play the Panthers. We play the Panthers, but with Bryce Young being benched, they got Andy Dalton, who's also 4-0 against
Andy
us.
Dalton is washed, man. Don't worry about Andy Dalton. He's washed.
Look, man. We all right, man. I'm just saying, my I have a bad feeling about this. I'm hopeful we win. We should win.
Yeah.
But it's just, yeah. I'm happy. I'm just gonna stick to this win. I'm gonna just soak this one up for the rest until what? Probably till Saturday. And then it restarts again on Sunday. But I'm glad we won though. It was definitely fun. And yeah, I'm just glad we decided to pass to Devontae because there's no reason why he should have less than 10 receptions per game. So,
gotcha.
Just glad.
Yeah, man. When looking at the game on paper, you go into it thinking, okay, the Ravens should win the game pretty easily. Just based on the talent difference. Like Lamar Jackson is just a great player. He's won MVPs and but yeah, man, y'all were feisty. Defense played tough. I think Justin Tucker missed a field goal, right? I think during the game.
He did end up missing a field goal.
Yeah,
because I think it was pretty far away though. It was a far kick.
Yeah, it was a 50 plus. It was 50 plus yards.
Yeah.
And so he's kind of been a little shaky. If it's within 50 yards, he's probably he's almost automatic. But past 50 yards, he's been struggling with those kicks. So I think the Ravens, they thought the missing piece was Derrick Henry. And don't get me wrong, Derrick Henry is still a really good player. And
he should have came to the Raiders.
I'm not sure of his fit on the Ravens team. And I just don't think as a whole, I think the Ravens are worse on defense. And I think their wide receiver, I don't know if they have like a wide receiver that really like scares people, that they feel like, hey, we gotta double this guy. We gotta make sure he doesn't have an impact on the game. Mark Andrews is one of the better tight ends in the league, but other than that, I don't know. I just don't feel like they really have a consistent like receiving option. I mean, Zay Flowers is still super young. Got drafted from Boston. I think it was Boston College is where he went.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I don't know. I don't feel like they're as good of a team as they were last year, and I think they're finding that out now. So the last time I think they started a season 0-2, the season went off the rails pretty quickly. So it'll be interesting. They actually play Dallas this week, and Dallas is needing a win as well after losing to New Orleans. So it'll be interesting, how that all shakes out. Now CeeDee Lamb, he didn't practice today. He had I guess he's got like an ankle injury, so he didn't practice. So if he doesn't play, obviously that's better for Baltimore, but Baltimore's getting off to a rough start. So another team that's getting off to a rough start is my team. So we lost to the Chiefs. We played, and it's so funny, man, because there's so many similarities between the game with like the Gamecocks and the Bengals game. Playing a really tough opponent, the Chiefs, playing in Kansas City. Played hard. Thought the game was ours, and a call at the end ended up kind of taking the game away from us. But the final score 26-25. So just 1 point, super close game. Whenever we play the Chiefs, the game is close. Joe Burrow, he was 23 for 36, threw the ball for 258 yards, threw for 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Did have a really big fumble that was taken back for a touchdown. Jamar Chase really didn't have that big of an impact on the game on the stat sheet. He was getting double covered all game, but he only managed 4 catches for 35 yards. Cincinnati's defense did get two interceptions on the day. we play Patrick Mahomes probably the toughest I think of any team out there. Like he didn't look like the normal Patrick Mahomes. He was 18 for 25 for 151 yards. Threw for 2 touchdowns, threw for 2 interceptions, got sacked twice as well. Isaiah Pacheco had a huge impact on this game running the ball. He ran the ball 19 times for 90 yards. Unfortunate that he
Energizer
got
Bunny,
hurt.
bro. Energizer Bunny.
Yeah, unfortunate that he got hurt. But yeah, man, we always play the Chiefs tough, man. And um, the last play of the game, well, not last play, but it was 4th and 16, and the Chiefs were having to go for it because they needed to get in field goal range, and the refs call defensive pass interference. Which, if you slow down the play, the Bengals defender does get there slightly early. And my thing is, you can sit here and blame the rest if you want to, but in my opinion, it's like if you want to beat the Chiefs, you got to beat the Chiefs. You got to make it so that the refs can't make any type of impact on the game at all. So you got to beat them by like two scores at least. And the Bengals had their chances. They got the ball down to the red zone pretty frequently, but they ended up having to kick field goals instead of scoring touchdowns. I think we kicked 4 field goals on the day. Let me double check that. Yeah, our kicker was 4 for 4. So way too many field goals. You got to put up more touchdowns, and just make it harder for them. Like I said, disappointed in the. It's so funny, man, because both of my teams I support in football lost, but at the same time, I feel like the biggest thing for the Bengals is Joe Burrow's health. And so after we lost game 1 to the Patriots, people were saying, "Oh, Joe Burrow's a has been. His best days are behind him. His wrist isn't the same. All this other stuff." And Joe Burrow very much looked like Joe Burrow. And so, considering we didn't have T was not playing the game. T Higgins is still dealing with the hamstring injury. And then we're decimated by injuries on the defensive end as well. We got Chris Jenkins, our defensive lineman, taken in the second round. He hasn't played at all so far this season. McKinley Jackson was taken in the third round. He's also a defensive lineman. He hasn't played a snap. Our Marius Mims hasn't played at all. And so we have injuries all over the place too. The good news is that I'm pretty confident T will be playing in the next game. We actually play Monday night. We're playing the Washington Commanders in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, and I don't mean like we're 0-2, so I don't really have a bunch of room to talk. But I expect us to beat up on the Commanders. Like if we don't beat the Commanders, the season, like if we go down 0-3, like the season's over. Like I put, is the Bengals season over and we're 0-2, but if you actually go and look at DraftKings, Cincinnati is the favorite to win the division right now, still being 0-2.
I have a question for you. So you guys are 0-2 this past game. There is one person in particular that I'm about to talk about. I've never seen him ever lose his cool in the game before. And that was due to a controversial, Jamar Chase. And that was due to a hip drop tackle that he thought should have been called. Now, do you think that call would have changed the game?
Yeah, I think it had a pretty well. Okay, you can look at it 2 different ways because we still ended up converting the field goal, so we still went up. But if you look at it from the other side, if they don't call that penalty, then with that we're 3rd and 7, which you can still. I mean, you can get 3rd and 7. 3rd and 22 is really difficult to get, but 3rd and 7 is much more manageable. And honestly, I think you've never seen, Jamar's been in the league now. This is going into his 4th season. I've never seen Jamar act like that on the field with the ref. And so the issue that happened, and people were thinking, like they're like, oh, hey, he's being selfish. He needs to, put the team before himself and all this. But people also have to put into perspective that he hasn't been paid, so he's already dealing with. We had the whole like extension fiasco where the team approached him about a potential extension. They couldn't agree on a number, so now he's just playing on his rookie deal. So they didn't get that resolved. The way the guy tackled him, and it was Trent McDuffie. He's a He's a really good cornerback for Kansas City. He's probably one of the better cornerbacks in the NFL already, and he's pretty young. But the way he tackled him, if you look at it, his leg kind of got pinned underneath him awkwardly. Luckily, he didn't get hurt, but he very easily could have broke his leg. He could have tore his ACL. He could have got a high ankle sprain. Any of these things that could have impacted, if he gets hurt, if he has a major injury, you best believe the Bengals are going to try to use that as leverage in the contract negotiations because that's just how business works,
Right.
And so I think all of those emotions, and plus he always gets amped up to play the Chiefs anyway. He doesn't like playing. He doesn't like the Chiefs at all. And, we're trying to dethrone them. We want to keep them from winning 3 Super Bowls in a row. So super high emotions. But I understand why he was upset, but at the same time, you have to keep those emotions in check. And I think, you even saw Joe Burrow go over to him and try to get him to lock back in. And, Joe was pushing him. He was pushing Joe for a moment there. So, so yeah, man, it was unfortunate that it happened. Apparently the reason why they called the penalty is because Jamar said something to the ref.
That's the ref out, basically.
Yeah, that's the ref out. Jamar, in his opinion, the ref said something better back to him, which made him continue to talk.
Got it.
So, but of course, they're not going to get into all that. They're just going to say, "Oh, Jamar was just cussing the ref out, and it was unsportsmanlike conduct." So,
right.
You live and you learn, and I think going forward, if the Bengals are going to turn this thing around, you can't let your emotions have control over you. So,
true.
But yeah, man, I was, disappointed obviously that we lost. I think I said the same thing last week. It's like, but much happier with what I saw on the field this week from the Bengals versus what I saw in the game against the Patriots. I recognize that Bengals team. I recognize that Joe Burrow. I recognize the defense played outstanding. I have no complaints whatsoever. The biggest issue is just the offense not converting red zone opportunities and touchdowns. So, and I think with T coming back and Joe, I think Joe's just going to continue to get better and he's going to continue to recover from the wrist injury that he had last year and get more comfortable. And again, I'm expecting us to really put a beating on the Commanders. And if we don't,
win handedly.
Exactly, yeah. And if we don't, again, at that point, that's when I'm going to start to panic. But for right now, the season's not over. Everything's in front of us. And, the Steelers are 2-0, but they've managed 1 touchdown in 2 games. And they played who they play? They played the Falcons and they played the Broncos, yeah. So they haven't played anybody yet. So that's who plays the Chargers. They play the Chargers this upcoming week.
That's what I was going to say, because when it comes down to the Steelers, man, Justin Fields, I don't care what anybody says. Justin Fields and his accuracy, I got questions.
I don't think anybody's – and don't get me wrong, Justin Fields, the struggles that he had in Chicago, they weren't just because of him. Like Chicago, like I said, the offensive line isn't good, all that other stuff. But at the same time, I don't think anybody's scared of Justin Fields either. So –
no.
We'll see how it all shakes out, but yeah,
until he plays my team.
Exactly. So yeah, looking forward to the game on Monday night against the Commanders. There's actually 2 games on Monday night. I want to say
there is?
Yeah, the Bills and the Bills. Let's see who they play. Whoever the Bills play, that's who plays first.
So it's gonna be like a 3:00 game and then 5?
No, they're just doing a double Monday night game. So they're gonna have one game start at like 7:15, and then the next game is gonna start at like 8.
Oh, Bills Jaguars. Yep.
Yeah, so Bills Jaguars is like 7:30, and then Commanders Bengals is 8:15. So we'll be locked in. I'll be watching that, I'm sure. It will be, one thing we'll be doing for those that support us, we'll be doing post game spaces, not spaces, but we'll be in playback after the primetime games on Thursdays and Mondays normally, just to chop it up and talk about what we saw in those games. But yeah, man, that pretty much that wraps up another episode from us, episode 4 of After the Catch. Anybody who tunes in, we definitely appreciate that. Like, comment, subscribe, share, just any love that you show us, we definitely appreciate it. But go ahead and close us out, KB.
Yep, like Playoff said, there's no better way to say it. We're episode 4. Like we said, support all our followers and anybody who's watching this. Like I said, we definitely expect and respect any comments you guys want to leave for us, and definitely take any advice we can. But like Playoff said, this is After the Catch presented by PGM. Please like, share, and subscribe, and we're out.
Peace.
Deuces.